word in order to meet the felt need of an individual or a group of people. David started our service during the welcome by saying that we are certainly short-staffed if he's doing the welcome. And you may be under the impression that we are certainly short-staffed if Danny's having to preach today. He's made it 7 years without having to do so, but here he is. Everyone must be gone, and that's just when you're kind. Actually, I'm not sure if you're being kind or if you're affirming my comment. Nevertheless, here we are, right? Ever closer to lunch than you were when we started. The true worship isn't watering down the word. When I agreed to preach a couple of weeks ago, I will tell you that it took me moments to get there because we are blessed as a congregation who have men who stand behind this pulpit and who rightly handle the word. And I do not, affirm them in that. We are blessed by them. And so the opportunity for me to preach today was a weighty one that I did not take lightly. And as a result of this morning, I may not have eaten anything yet today. But we'll get through that, right? Nerves are a good thing. We handle the word rightly. As one of your pastors, this seems like a good place for me to encourage you to be very, very careful and cautious of the individuals that you listen to and the printed material that you consume. This is a good place for me to encourage you to maybe not listen to every blog and not to read every word that every person puts out there just because they claim the mantle of being a Christ follower. There are many who are not rightly handling the word, and you don't want to be a consumer of such. So please, brother, please, sister, be very cautious about what you listen to and what you read. Worship in spirit and truth. Quite simply, God saves us so that our worship will be spirit-driven by his truth that he has revealed. That is worship in spirit and truth, and we would do well to make that our aim. Verses 25 and 26. The woman said to him, I know that Messiah is coming, he who is called Christ. When he comes, he will tell us all things. Jesus said to her, I who speak to you am he. Are you ready for this? It's nearly unbelievable, after all that has transpired in this conversation, that the Samaritan woman still doesn't realize who she's speaking to. Still doesn't get it. So perhaps not the sharpest tool, right? Does not get it. She doesn't realize who she's speaking to. She does, however, acknowledge Jewish understanding and knowledge of a coming Messiah, but she fails to realize he's sitting in front of her. She's having a conversation with him. It's just unbelievable. Jesus' response eliminates any confusion when he says to her, I who speak to you am he. The Samaritan woman clearly learns that Jesus is the Messiah. This man at the well is more than a weary traveler. Jesus doesn't often directly identify himself as the Messiah, but the situation here called for this type of proclamation. This proclamation led to the response we see in the following verses. We didn't read these at the beginning, but I'm going to look at a couple of passages following this place because I want us to see her response, because I think there's something there for us as well. Beginning in verse 28. So the woman left her water jar and went away into town and said to the people, come, see a man who told me all that I ever did. Can this be the Christ? They went out of the town and were coming to him. She left her water jar. Her understanding of who Jesus was went from a weary traveler to the Savior of the world, the Messiah, in a matter of a few verses. She began her day longing for something. She thought she was thirsting for physical water. She found living water. The fact that she left her jar could be symbolic, that she was leaving behind her possessions to go tell others about Jesus, just like the disciples left everything behind in order to follow Christ. regardless of her motive. She felt the need to tell others about what had occurred in her life. The woman was so filled with excitement about what had just occurred. She had gone to the well in an effort to fill her water pot, to meet her daily needs. But she left the well having met the Messiah. She knew she had been changed. She knew she had been redeemed by her encounter with Jesus, and she wanted the townspeople to know it as well. Don't miss the fact that at the beginning of this story, she so desired to be left alone that she went to the well midday. That just wasn't what they did in their culture. They either went early in the morning or late in the evening, and they gathered enough water to last them an entire day. But here she is going in the 6th hour. In that time, that would be high noon. So she's going to get all the water that she needs for the entire day at the hottest part of the day, and she did this to be alone. Now, she is seeking the townspeople out in order to testify about the interaction that she had with Jesus. These are the same townspeople she tried to avoid most of her life. The same ones who considered her an outcast. Now she desires to go and tell them. Her past was messy. We can all agree on that, right? Yeah. Can I share something with you? So is your past, and so is mine. It may not be that you've had 5 husbands and you're with a 6th person. That may not be your messy past, but we all have a messy past. And the townspeople likely knew that to be the case for her. Just like, if you've lived here long enough, your friends, your neighbors, the people you interact with, they may know about your messy past. But her excitement over her encounter, it was compelling. She wanted to share it with them. The people she once avoided, she's now trying to get them to come meet this Jesus, this one that has changed my life. You see, a love for Jesus always leads to a love for him to be known by others. They went out of the town and they were coming to him. Her witness was effective. Notice that you don't see in this story that once the woman encountered Christ and went into the town to tell others about her experience, you don't see her casting judgment or acting like she was suddenly holier or more virtuous than everyone else. You don't see condemnation or a tone of such in her voice. Notice what you do see, however. Her message was clear. Come. See a man who told me all that I ever did. She told of her experience. She shared her story. She invited them to meet him as well. And then she led them to where Jesus was. Oftentimes,